I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Get ready to run.
Hi, this is David Thibodeau, and I love the Mike Hanson Archives.
Absolutely. Okay, folks, thank you so much for watching Mike Hanson Archives. Stay tuned right here for more classics with Alex Jones. But to support this channel, what do I say? You've got to buy the book. That's how we support this channel, Victoria. And it takes a lot of money. It's about $1,200 a week I'm paying these people in this office. And it's very expensive. And even if you got a book, you know, get another one. Send $25 and I'll send you a signed copy of my book. Did I ever give you a book of mine? Well, I'm going to give you one when I get back over there. When you come, Victoria's fixing to come to Gonzales and help us remodel a motel, and her crew. So I can't wait to start working with Victoria again. But in the meantime, I need help out there to get this book sold and get some more money coming in to Mike Hanson Archives. So call. Cammie will be right there to answer your call if you call 830-672-3089. Or you can write us here at P.O. Box 481 in Gonzales, Texas. All right, folks, stay tuned for more classics right here on this channel, band.video on Infowars.com. Thanks a lot and God bless. You have anything to tell the folks out there?
I love Mike Hanson's Archives.
Oh, now that's what I wanted to hear. I had to see this. Do that again.
Welcome to Friday.
Yeah, everybody's trying to do something here. Look at all this. We need to get them to take all the trash out. Boy, it's like, you know, the boss has to take the trash out and do everything around here. Buffy's gone.
Held on, take me away.
Yay!
It's the best and most comprehensive book on Bohemian Grove, and it's written by Mike Hanson, my old camera guy.
Mike Hanson Archives.
Get ready to run.
Approach towards the war on drugs and their obsession with controlling substances. Well, they do this more than just narcotics. They do it for just about any class of substance that can be sold, from wood to building materials. And tonight we're going to talk about yet another class that I barely knew existed until earlier this week, and that is refrigerant. And of course, there's refrigerant's been around for many, many years, but it's gone through sequences, different chemicals. They make advances. They come up with refrigerants that are more efficient, and that, you know, these are refrigerants, of course, that run your AC in your car, presumably refrigerants that might work in your refrigerator.
Something that makes an air conditioner work.
Anything that makes an air conditioner, it's the fluid, it's the working fluid that by expanding and contracting, it either absorbs heat out of your house and pushes it out in the back, or you can and it just cycles and cycles in your AC. But the chemicals you use in there, which I always thought was Freon, has been changing and evolving over the years. And tonight we're learning that the old class of chemicals is now prohibited by the government, and a new class of chemicals is now being forced upon us. Now, Phil, you know a lot about this. What's so interesting about this particular problem now, and why the change, and why is this change such a burden on the normal population?
Well, what happened is in May, House Bill 2025 was brought into effect in September of this year, September 1st of this year. It became law. And what it did is it outlawed the use of a flammable gas as a refrigerant in your car.
So this is a Texas law that you're speaking of, not the federal law that's already outlawed?
This is a Texas law. EPA actually allows for a flammable refrigerant to be used as a second-generation drop-in to replace the new HFC 134A. Texas law has banned it. As of September 1st, it is banned from use. The reason why it came into existence, KI-42 got a wild hair up their butt, came up with a tape that showed that if you released enough of this into the passenger compartment of a car and ignited it, it would blow out the windows and it would blow out the back of the door.
Well, so would a can of hairspray, wouldn't it?
So would virtually anything. If you think about it, if you have compressed natural gas and it somehow leaked into the passenger compartment of your car, it would do the exact same thing. It's the exact same type of substance. It's a flammable petroleum liquid.
What was it made of? Now, the old flammable stuff was...
Well, no, the stuff that used to be in your car is called R12 or CFC12. They outlawed it because of ozone depletion and because of global warming. They brought in HFC 134A, which was their new replacement. Excuse me, which is their new replacement for it, and have promoted it. The EPA has promoted it. The state of Texas is promoting it. A company, several different companies, one that happens to be in Idaho, came out with a petroleum derivative. It's 30% more efficient than the new HFC 134A, which means that our cars, our homes, our refrigerators would use less energy, would take less wear and tear on the compressor, and we could actually do the work on any of those items ourselves.
Now, is this the product that you're talking about?
Well, this happens to be just one of the products.
Does that cost a lot more? Or?
Actually, right now you're looking at $40 per pound of HFC 134A to have it put in a car. You're looking at anywhere between $40 to $80 plus the labor to actually put it in.
My car doesn't get it anymore. I can't afford it.
Okay, so now let me get this straight. There was a whole bunch of stuff that used to work in the car that got outlawed because of theories regarding global warming, and this happened a long time ago. Then that stuff has stayed in your car, but we have then had a genuine breakthrough in the chemistry of these coolants, and that is this stuff here, which happens to be flammable, but would be a good replacement because it's more efficient and lower price. But now they're no longer allowing this stuff because although it's more efficient and lower price, it is presumably, according to this report, dangerous.
Right, and it's junk science. If you were to dump the equivalent amount of R12 or HFC 134A into the compartment of a car, if that car were to sit all day long with R12 in it and you stepped into the car, one, R12 or CFC12 is odorless and colorless. You wouldn't know it was in your car, and two, you'd be hit by phosgene gas because sunlight breaks down R12 into phosgene and other components. So you would be basically breathing a nerve agent. HFC 134A, if you walked into the car, is odorless and colorless, again, with the equivalent amount that they were using as an example on KI-42. If you stepped in and you had a lit cigarette, the lit cigarette would convert the HFC 134A into hydrofluoric acid, which would virtually destroy your lungs and could potentially damage the mucous membranes of your eyes, your mouth, your nose, and so on.
That's the stuff that they're forcing us to use.
That's the stuff that the EPA has mandated has to be converted, that we convert over to. And the state is promoting it and promoting DuPont by giving them an absolute monopoly on refrigerants.
Now,
So you're saying that this product cost a fraction of what the state is requiring us to buy. It works more efficiently, and yet the state has outlawed it.
Right.
now it's just the state, right? So now if I have a license if I have a license plate from another state and I come into Texas with this in my car, am I okay?
Actually, no, because the use of it in your vehicle is outlawed.
Interesting. Now here's the important point that I mean this is so common for a government policy, especially when you're talking about these kind of issues. It's coolant. This type of coolant is a complicated, well, semi-complicated chemical system, and it's potentially dangerous. Anything that's not basically nitrogen and oxygen, which is what the air is more or less dangerous for people. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you want to be breathing nitrogen and oxygen. Anything else is dangerous. So the question is this a little bit more dangerous than that? I agree with you. We are talking about epsilons and deltas of difference between danger levels that are totally subjective.
Right.
And to make a distinction between one brand and another based on the kind of reporting that you're describing is fundamentally absurd. Now, there are truly cases where some things are really, really dangerous, and it's good to get rid of them. This is certainly not one of them.
No, and actually this can right here costs about $9 a can. It would take about a little over 2 cans. You're looking at less than $50 for you to replace the refrigerant. You could do it yourself. You wouldn't be required, you wouldn't have to have some AC technician to do the job. And it's mandated. If you actually released either R12 or HFC 134A into the atmosphere, you violated the Clean Air Act for the United States.
Do you want to speculate on why the state might have taken this action? I'll throw one out.
Tell me about this bill, yes.
For a long time, Freon was a patented substance.
Exactly.
And a patent holder can obtain extra profits from the holding of a patent. And when that patent was expired, well, anybody in the world could make Freon, and the price of Freon went down to where there wasn't very much profit left in it. And some people speculate that the people who made Freon or the people who make the replacement product went to some state legislators and said, hey, let's pass a law to take Freon off the market, and that way only our new patented substance, which we can make a huge profit on, will be allowed to be on the market. Do you subscribe to that theory?
I think there's some validity to that theory. I also think there's validity of why people want to maintain it on the market. It takes a lot of money to convert cars over to the new HFC 134A. It's not a drop-in replacement.
Really?
It's corrosive to the air conditioner that you have. They would have to tear down the compressor, all the hoses and O-rings in the vehicle, and put new ones in that weren't would not disintegrate with the new HFC 134A in it. If anyone out there has ever has in the last 2 years had HFC 134A put in their vehicle, I guarantee that it's leaking right now, and that your air conditioner is not working.
I have an alternative theory, although I do have deep respect for the preserve the patent wealth theory. Another theory is the following. I mean, this is not uncommon for government. They get on a kick, a real responsive kick. If this test that was done by this show is, you watch it, you see the video, you see the car explode, if it moves people, then government sometimes, it's strange about government, sometimes it responds so slow, doesn't do anything. That's the way libertarians like it. But sometimes it responds rapidly for no good reason. It's caught up in the wave of pseudoscience or junk science, or it's caught up in the reactionary wave, an irrational wave. Another example is getting internet in the classroom.
Sometimes it's a wave of campaign money.
Or, well, all of that is usually, well, that's your theory, right? That's the other theory.
I am looking that up. I'm looking up the CNEs of the author of this bill.
That is the alternative theory, is that, of course, is motivated by profit. But I wouldn't be surprised if, in addition, or differently from that, it's motivated by just this crazy reactionism to pseudoscience. And like I was going to present the example of getting the internet in the classroom, a totally useless idea for educating our children, because if you've been on the net, you know that there's a lot better to be spent learning math and learning how to read and doing some normal things. But everybody's got this in their head. Oh, the internet has got to be in everybody's classroom. It's this, and the government responds like a rocket. And I think the government is jumping the gun here too. There are just too many chemicals, too many classes. And you know what happened with the airbags, the damn airbags. Remember that thing, that whole fiasco? They forced people to put it into their car. Then, of course, they had spontaneous airbag inflations, and then they learned that kids were getting killed by the airbags, and now you have the option to turn your airbag off. It just gets more and more ugly all the time, the time. What do airbags fill with, by the way?
I have no idea. I don't know. Here's a quick one for you. If you're an environmentalist, the hydrocarbons are a non-ozone depleting, non-global warming item. It saves money because if I estimated that for my home with 2 vehicles, and if I switched my AC over and I switched my refrigerator over, I'd save about $452 a year just on electrical and the maintenance cost of maintaining those items. And on top of everything else, they're restraining trade. They're basically saying we get to determine what gets to be traded here in here in Texas, back and forth between people. They could outlaw you going down and actually getting one of the tanks for welding with, because that's a refrigerant, and it would be covered under that type of law. You could use that exact gas in your air conditioner, and it would cool better than the HFC or the R12, but could be outlawed.
Let's go to the phone. We have one caller here who's been waiting to talk to us. Hello, hello, caller. You're on the air.
So let me see if I understand this right. You package a refrigerant that basically is propane, which is a liquefied gas, correct?
No, I do not. I use it. I've been using it for about 2 years. I got upset when I found out that 2 years ago it would have cost me almost $500 to get my air conditioner converted over to the new refrigerant, or it would have cost me almost $150 at that time 2 years ago to get my system recharged.
Yeah, you're a customer. You're just a pure consumer.
I
right?
do not. I have no fiduciary interest in this particular item itself.
Okay.
This is not just propane. This is propane and butane and an odor. And they used to use this in refrigerants prior to 1965 until they came up with R12 or CFC 12.
Yeah, we're just concerned citizens. But go ahead, Colin.
Okay, so basically this is one of those refrigerants out there that has not been allowed under the EPA SNAP program, right?
Actually, it has been allowed under the EPA SNAP program. The EPA SNAP program says you cannot use it in a vehicle that was designed for R12, but you may use it in a vehicle for HFC 134A.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. And then you're also obviously upset because of the fact that the legislature passed a rule last session that will be the responsibility of the Railroad Commission that says you basically can't use this as a refrigerant in automobiles, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
How do you feel about it, caller?
Well, I mean, personally, I think it's a responsible thing simply because of the fact that there was a lot of experience with the use of flammable liquefied compressed gases as a refrigerant back in the 40s and 50s, and they blew up a lot of stuff. And then that was one of the reasons that one of the refrigerants came out. But then you talk about some of the junk science, and the problem is that industry responded and said, okay, we're going to make a great refrigerant that's not flammable, that's got a very, very low toxicity. And then all of a sudden, some other group of scientists says, nope, it depletes the hole in the ozone layer, so we're going to flip back 40 years. And now we're back to
right. So you're worried actually about the last transition we had here, the last rule that was made that outlawed the other stuff because of the so-called global warming hole in the ozone theory.
Right.
So if you had your druthers, you would go way back in time. I mean, way before this issue, and reverse that ruling, and then we get the chemicals that everybody likes back. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for.
Is this more efficient than those earlier generation chemicals that were banned by ozone?
Yes, 30% more efficient.
So he's saying this stuff's even better than that.
And that's true, but it's flammable, and whenever you stick it inside of a compressor, and you begin to compress it, there's a phenomena called adiabatic compression, where you can compress something to the point to where it heats up. And my concern is with any refrigeration system or any compressor is that you put a flammable gas in there and you get an upset with that compressor and it over compresses it, and you end up with adiabatic compression. The gas ignites, and then the amount of damage that is calculatable, but I don't know what it is.
Well, our claim, of course, is that that's a rare occurrence.
Well,
and it's a fair risk.
The only
that's an interesting statement to say. What is a fair risk? Because the risk is a function of two things: frequency and consequence. In other words, risk is going to happen, or risk is that you're going to have so many events, and then it's going to have a certain consequence.
Very
if
good
the
point.
consequence is nothing more than the vehicle burning, well, maybe that's an acceptable consequence. If the consequence, however, is that you get somebody that's injured or somebody that gets killed,
and your passengers don't know. I mean, are your passengers going to have to ask, are you using the compressed flammable stuff? I don't want to drive in your car if you are. That's a good point. You know, other people besides yourself driving these cars.
That's right.
Well, there has been research done. It's been done down in Australia. Flash point for any of the hydrocarbons is right around 1630 degrees Fahrenheit. Simtars, which is the place down in Australia that did the research on it says that that's classified as non-flammable. Anything that's over 1,390 degrees Fahrenheit is this is a part of the mine systems down there. Is classified as a non-flammable because it would take quite a bit to actually ignite this type of hydrocarbon to actually cause it to flare up. This is a flammable, it is not an explosive, and that's the way that KI had presented it, that it was an explosive. It's not. It's just like butane, or it is butane and propane. That's all it is.
Let me ask you this, because you bring up an interesting point, because you're citing Australian regs.
Please be real quick, caller. We got to move on, but please make your point.
Well, the point of it is that my question is that whenever I buy a case of that, is there a Department of Transportation placard that says it's a flammable gas on that carton?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there you go. You've got a flammable gas that you're doing it. You can cite all the Australian regs you want, but it's still a flammable gas. The material's got an auto-ignition temperature between 600 to 800 degrees, depending upon how you blend it, because you've got a liquefied compressed gas.
No, the auto-ignition temperature of this is 1,630 degrees.
Hey, thank you very much, caller. That was sick. You know, he made it the very, very valid point, however, that risk is a complicated issue. It is a combination of probability and expectation value.
And as I pointed out before, we buy flammable gases all the time. If you buy some hairspray at the store, you're bringing home a can exactly like that with flammable gas in it.
And of course, we have the same type of risk. If anyone out there is using compressed natural gas as the fuel for their vehicle,
or
that is a risk right there. That's the same type of substance, but yet they did not outlaw using that to fuel your car.
Caller?
Yes. What kind of chilling effect does the new refrigerant?
Well,
No,
it's an interesting.
I don't know. You might have been quick on the gun there.
I really doubt it. The interesting thing that
You want to go ahead and answer that question anyway?
I didn't hear what the question actually was.
There was a joke there, but
caller, you're on the air.
Hey there, fellas. How you doing?
Yes, sir.
Doing cool.
Yeah, I'd like to participate in the conversation tonight by asking you if there's any... Sorry about that. Let me get this turned down a little bit.
Quickly, caller.
I guess what I'd like to ask is your promotional is live and let live. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit? I'm new to Austin, and I'm... Okay,
I'm putting the caller on hold. The idea of this... The idea here, in the context of our conversation, is should we be allowed to choose what kind of stuff to put in our vehicle? And the question really is can we really understand the risk very well? And it seems to me that this is very, very rapid, very cursory information about this kind of change, and that the government's just moving way too fast. It shouldn't be moving at all. It's a classic argument of does government have jurisdiction in this kind of area? We do have one other feature I would like to get to. We want to get to our new weekly feature called the Conspiracy Corner, and Vince May will be directing this feature this week at least. And the conspiracy for us all to discuss this week is the Amtrak crash that we heard so much about a long time ago.
Right, this was about 2 years ago in October of '95. You might recall having seen on the nightly news a train derailed in Arizona. And I don't remember what the casualty count was. There weren't a whole lot of people on the train, I guess, but...
It was a big wreck, though.
It was a kind of spectacular wreck. And at that time, the government released some information about what they knew about the wreck. They had found a letter. It was done very professionally. Somebody had separated the tracks to make sure that the train would derail. And since there is a system, an electrical system running through the tracks to detect that in advance and prevent derailments, they had connected a wire on each of the separated tracks to make that connection secure and defeat the protective mechanism.
Wow.
But so this was not an accident. Somebody did it on purpose. And the government at the time said that they had found a letter at the scene of the crash. The person who did this left, and he identified himself as a member of the Sons of the Gestapo, a right-wing militia group. Well, last week, a couple days ago, the FBI was sending a fax from its office to the U.S. Attorney's office in Phoenix. And this is in the Dallas Morning News on Thursday. And the facts accidentally went out to many news organizations. It went to some newspapers and TV and other news outlets that were not supposed to get it. And the facts said that essentially the FBI knows who derailed the train. He is described as a political liberal. He is a former law enforcement person. It brings some questions up. Why is the FBI letting people get away with train derailments and seemingly in some of the bombing episodes the government has involvement, the World Trade Center bombing, the FBI certainly, we know, put up the money and taught those people how to make the bomb. There's a grand jury studying the Oklahoma bombing to see what the government's involvement was in that, and they certainly were involved. We just don't know the extent of it yet. So the conspiracy corner question of the day, how far are we going to let the FBI go in blowing up America before we do something about it?
All right, well, thank you very much, Vince. Let's see if we can get just two of these callers before we close out today. Caller, you're on the air, quickly.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to discuss the chilling effect.
Caller, you're on the air?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I need to know what the law is about just owning Freon.
The law about owning Freon. Go ahead, Phil. Why don't you let this caller know about
actually, the law doesn't actually dictate the owning of it. It dictates the use of it. So if you actually connect up the can of refrigerant to your car, at that point, you're committing a Class B misdemeanor, which in this case could be up to $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail.
And there's a stiff tax on it also.
Oh, absolutely.
Caller,
you don't have
caller, you have 10.
Chilling effect!
I'm not screening my calls this week. Caller, you're on the air. Caller.
What about the chilling effect?
Okay, so this is we're coming to the very close of the show. Phil, I want to thank you for coming in today. This is a little issue that just sort of creeps up and accumulates over time. You know, this happens today, and then another one happens, and the laws in the books, the tax laws, this happens to the tax laws. You get a new little law, and eventually, 10 years later, you can't even wade through it. That woman had a good question. Gee, I own Freon. What's the law about owning Freon? It's confusing, and it's needlessly confusing because a lot of these things are just pointless or conspiratorial. Well, thank you for tuning in this week, and take charge of your life or somebody else will.
It's Mike Hanson here with Mike Hanson Archives. Please take a moment to watch this short video about my nonprofit Gonzales Association of Patriots. Please take time to visit the GoFundMe and help your neighbor out. Anything will help us, even if it's $5, $20. If you can do more, great. But if you knew how desperate some of these people were, people that are a lot less fortunate than we are, they really need help here in Gonzales, Texas, and we're really trying to do that for them. So take a few minutes here to watch this video about our nonprofit, and please visit our GoFundMe and donate what you can. We really appreciate it, and thanks a lot, and God bless. Because I know you need help with your food and everything else. So that's from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. We always try to do something good for somebody every single month. We try.
I love you, Mike. I love everybody. Thank you. Thank
there you go.
Everybody.
Buy what you want with it. Buy you something nice once in a while.
I love you, Mike.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Well, hello folks, it's Mike Hanson here, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about our nonprofit organization here in Gonzales, Texas. It's Gonzales Association of Patriots. We started it back in 2016 to help the less fortunate people here in Gonzales, Texas, and there's a lot of them. People are getting their electricity cut off. They can't make the gas to even get to their jobs. So we help them along the way as much as we can. We're not that big, so we would like to get bigger and get a lot more money to help people with. And so we have started a GoFundMe there. Just look below here and you'll see the GoFundMe. And here's a couple people that we have helped lately, and hopefully it will move you to give a little bit to our organization, Gonzales Association of Patriots. Hello folks, it's Mike Hanson here with Gonzales Association of Patriots. What we do here on this organization is we help people that are less fortunate here in Gonzales. And what was your name, ma'am?
Lauren.
Lauren, you have fallen on some hard times, and I hate to hear that. Tell us what the city. They cut your electricity off, then they want to charge you more deposits. We put you up in the motel for a couple days or a week while it's been really, really cold, and we're gonna give you gas money to try to get some more help. But folks, we have a GoFundMe. If you look right here on the screen and look below this video, go to the GoFundMe if you'd like to help Lauren. How much do you owe on your electricity bill? I mean, it's getting up there.
It's like $350, but this is the third time in a month and a half that I've had to pay a deposit. So I paid 3 deposits in a month and a half and almost $1,800 in lights.
And you're living without electricity right now.
Yes.
And we would like to help you. We're down to a couple $100 ourselves in our fund. And if anybody out there, if just 10 of y'all would donate $100, boy, that would be $1,000 we could help you. And Lauren, you're from Gonzales. We help people from Gonzales. We have helped you just about as much as our fund's running out. So if folks, we help people here in Gonzales. If you would just give us the GoFundMe right there, and you can help beautiful people like this out there. You're working hard trying to get,
Yes, sir.
You've fallen on some hard times.
Yes, sir. And then with this heart failure, it's harder to work, physically work. So it's a lot harder.
Well, we're going to try to get you by right now and give you a little gas money. We're secretary. There's Miss Cammie. Give her check from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. Let me show them. It's a legitimate association, and we've had it for about 4 years now, and we help people out.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
Everybody help this lady out. Put it in GoFundMe, and we'll get with you to help you with your electricity bill. All right. God bless y'all out there. Thank you. People donate money to us, and that's how we get this money.
Thank you.
So if anybody wants to know more about our organization, we're here in Gonzales, Texas at P.O. Box 481.
Thank y'all very much, and God bless everybody that helps people around that are in need. God bless y'all.
Remember, folks, this is not like other things like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. 100% of what we take in goes back into helping the people. We don't take salaries. We just find the needy people and try to get them to a better place. We give them a hand up is what we do. All righty. Thanks a lot and God bless. It's Mike Hanson here. Please help us where you can.